We were live at 10 in the morning, a little earlier than normal. Right when I set the destination, it pops up in the YouTube feed, as we know. And first comment of the day, none other than Mr. Walk, Ricky Reddit resident.
Oh, really?
On the Walk. I think our most frequent poster.
Spike, I'm here to tell you that you're 1,000% right about big protein. I got a lot of, I would like to assure the people that emailed me in support that I'm not actually upset about Omar's comment. I do believe what I said, but I'm not actually upset about him calling me skinny. But he is putting Q-tips in his ears, but he agrees about big protein. If you're going to buy what I say, you got to buy everything.
You're spreading the good word.
Yeah.
I haven't had my morning Q-tip yet. Just starts me off right.
Okay. This friggin' chair. CJ, should I invest in a better chair? I feel like this is a 3-year-long conversation between you and I.
I love my chair.
I feel like I deserve it. I got my wife a great chair.
The same one I have?
Yeah. The Herman Miller one?
Yeah, the Aaron.
Yeah. I sat in it. I was so jealous.
Yeah.
You know?
It feels great knowing that you have the support when you need it, where you need it.
High resale value too, if you were ever to resell it.
It's a great investment opportunity. Yeah.
Love reselling chairs.
It's like the Rolex of chairs.
Yeah. I stopped putting money into my 401k or my brokerage accounts. I ditched them. I'm just loading up on Herman Miller shares.
That's what's behind the divider.
Yeah.
It's just it's a warehouse of Herman Miller shares. My life savings.
Oh, all right. Here we go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is proudly presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. And Kinetic Skateboarding. More on this special in a moment. Get 20% off any complete skateboard this weekend at kineticskateboarding.com using code RICKYSKATES. On the show today, we are in the danger zone, folks. Joel Embiid is the favorite for MVP. The Sixers are firmly entrenched, I guess, in the number 2 seed, and everyone's heart is set to be broken again. I love it. Ben Simmons and Klutch mutually part ways. And as well, we will get to the Ringer Top 100, as well as voicemails and emails. Oh, Actually, I don't know if this is public or not, so I'm going to keep that to myself. Also, we'll talk about the winner of the fan vote for the Process Hall of Fame, as well as another musical act that will appear at Live Ricky 5, which is dangerously close to being way too optimistic and will be looked upon just horribly as time goes on. I would remind you, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. We're at about 8,800 subscriptions. We need to get to 10,000 by the time the playoffs start, or CJ gets fired. Also, if you're subscribed, you will get all the videos in your little feed there and set up notifications there. As well, if you're on Spotify, please follow the pod and watching it. I did mention Kinetic is a sponsor of today's pod, and this is going to go all the way through Monday for those of you who are listening on Monday. Complete skateboards at Kinetic, so that it comes with everything. If you're like, sometimes skateboarders go in there and they're like, oh, I want these trucks, I want these wheels, I want this deck. This is complete. So this comes with everything. 20% off with code RICKYSKATES, and through Monday at kineticskateboarding.com. You want to get somebody a skateboard as a gift. You want to take it up as a new hobby, which I've thought about if my body weren't falling apart as an old man. kineticskateboarding.com, code RICKYSKATES for 20% off any complete skateboard. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name, I say the name, I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name, say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right.
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who, even though he will deny it, is completely and totally 100% back in. That is Mike Levin.
I don't know that that's technically true. So you missed the midweek pod. I hosted it with our friend Dan Devine, who was great.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me if I was back, and I said I don't think I'm allowed to determine whether I'm back on a podcast that Spike's not on. So
right.
I punted the back question until now.
You're back.
But no, I want to. Well, hang on.
I'm sorry.
So, like, back indicates that I'm returning to somewhere I've been before.
I like the way this is headed.
And so we are now. This is Sunday morning. I've watched. We're about to start day 4 of the NCAA tournament. I've watched 30 basketball games, 30 college basketball games in the last 3 days. It's been great. Sorry, 40 college basketball games in the last 3 days. And then going from that to then watching Joel Embiid play basketball at the end of the night, sort of tucking myself in after a long day of basketball to watch some more basketball. He is not doing things that are human. He is not. I've called him the most human basketball player of all time, or at least in Philadelphia history, the most human athlete, because you can feel him. I think he's now so good that you can't, like, I can no longer relate to Joel. I have no idea. He is beyond my ability to relate. When he was struggling, when he had weaknesses, then it was like, okay, I can see this. But now he's just playing the best basketball that he's ever played.
Without question.
By a lot.
Yeah.
And against, obviously, this back-to-back was not incredible competition between Charlotte without LaMelo and Indiana without Halliburton. But he's just in a stretch where he's doing things on both ends that I remember we were doing this podcast before his career started.
Mm-hmm.
While he was sitting on the bench, while he was like, you'd get a couple like glimpses of him like in warm-ups
25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would have told us at that point that like this is what it would be. He's the best player in the league right now. And he is putting up these numbers. He didn't have to play back-to-back fourth quarters because they were up so much.
Which is, by the way, what we've always asked for.
Yeah.
In terms of getting his minutes down, is just be winning by so much that you don't have to play the fourth. It seems like a dream for these two back-to-backs to end up that way.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't think the Pacers game was going to end up that way. Now,
no.
Let
me just finish my last thought of this.
Yeah.
Of the Embiid thing.
Yeah.
I've been 3 days of drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I was I couldn't believe how good he was, seriously, last night as I was watching it.
I wanted to talk about that.
And how he didn't start playing basketball until I was like 14 or 15. And there's obviously the iconic video of him like at like a basketball camp, like going up for a layup out of bounds because he couldn't like coordinate his body to do it. And the fact that he's this good because he watched videos of white guys shooting and Kobe and Dirk and Hakeem, and now he's just the best player in the league because he just like watched that stuff and then made his body right. And the fact that he's playing every game, like, I'm not back because that would indicate that we've been here before. I am somewhere else entirely. I am on a new plane of existence. The Sixers have the best or second best offense in the league and beat the MVP. What are we doing?
Oh no.
How is this possible? So I'm definitely not back. I'm somewhere else. I'm in outer space.
We'll get to them. This was a very special week for the voicemails, given Embiid's play and the MVP conversation, and we will get to those, I promise. One thing that you said in there, I agree with it wholeheartedly. There was one thing you said in there about last night in particular. There was a stretch in the third quarter. I think if you would like to see the difference between Embiid this season compared to previous seasons, you should just watch the third quarter of the Sixers-Pacers game. I was debating with somebody yesterday about Embiid's ability to create out of double teams and so on and so forth this year compared to other years. Because when you look at the numbers, he's turning it over more this year too. He's at like 3.5 turnovers. But if I hate to do this, but if you watch the games, it is different this year. And it's almost like last night you saw the result of him playing with Harden for a year. Because what he was doing when he had the ball at the nail, which you've heard a bazillion times, was just sort of like assessing what was going on around him calmly, looking around and making the best decision to score on that particular play. Calmly, surgically. Sometimes it was taking a step and shooting a 14-footer. Sometimes it was going to the rim. Sometimes it was throwing it to the corner. And sometimes it was throwing it to the wing, which would then go to the corner and he would get that hockey assist there. But there was a stretch in the third quarter where he was just operating we talked about the game slowing down for him, which has happened, I think, a little bit each year. But he was operating in a way against the Pacers that he just wouldn't have operated in previous years. He would have looked at them, they double teamed him a lot in the first half. Like he would have gotten frustrated. He would have thrown up bad shots. He would have turned the ball over. I don't even think he had a turnover last night. He had 7 or 8 assists. If he had a turnover, he maybe have one turnover.
Yeah.
It's just not something that would have happened before. And it does raise their ceiling to, I am not ready to say that I believe they can win the title. However, knowing that I don't believe Harden, like that it will be Embiid being the down the stretch offensive weapon in the playoffs, his ability to operate this way can possibly change their path in the playoffs, because he needed this. You can't just muscle everyone in the playoffs. You're going to have to, they're going to throw different defenses at you. It's going to be hard. And he's just operating in a way that he hasn't operated before. And it looks unstoppable. What's his fuck? The coach, the Pacers coach. Carlisle said last night, he was like, Giannis is great and Jokic is great, but this guy is probably the hardest guy to stop in the league right now. And he's probably the MVP, which we will get to. He's unbelievable. And he's just on a fucking roll right now. He's on a basketball bender. He's scoring so easily.
It's crazy. It's becoming like right now, and it's unfortunate that it's happening now, not in the playoffs, but hopefully it continues. Like the way that Kawhi was in that Raptor Sixers series, when it was just like it doesn't matter what was happening, it was ending in him hitting a laser jump shot from 18 feet. Like the Sixers made last night, I wrote it down. I don't know if they ever beat it, but 21 of 23 field goals at one point. They were just the shot making on this team. They're obviously one of the best foul shooting teams of all time. Embiid is one of the best big men shooting mid-range guys of all time. Harden gets guys open looks. They have, I think we looked at this last time, like 8 guys shooting like 38% from 3 or better. Like they've just assembled sort of unknowingly, maybe not unknowingly, and it didn't feel this way as they were doing it, but like one of the best shooting teams ever. Like their offense is insane. Their offense is up to second in the league, I think. The defense is the concern. It's still the concern for me, but I mean, Embiid always owns Turner. It feels like,
yeah.
Embiid looks at Miles Turner and is like, if I had like no juice whatsoever, this is what I would be. Turner's a good player, but like Embiid, I think just like looks at him as like, you could be better, but you're not. So I'm gonna absolutely like pound you into the dirt. And also like his ball handling was great last night. Like when's the last time you could say like a center had the ball on a string? Like it was some crazy stuff. It was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean they're winning in every combination, as we talked about before. Like to win games without Harden, win games without Embiid, without Maxey, without some role players deep digging into your bench. Like they're just on the road at home, like anywhere. They're just beating everybody right now. And now they took the 2 seed, and I don't know. There's still a number of games left. If there's the 1 seed is not fully out of reach. It's just
they're 2 games behind. I mean, they still play the Celtics, they still play the Bucks, and they still play the Nuggets. And those are the Nuggets just for MVP purposes, but like the games against the Celtics and the Bucks are going to be enormous. But you know, Sixers Adam tweeted last evening, and I agree with him, and I've said the same thing. They should go for the 2 seed.
Yeah,
like that. I truly believe if you're going to have to play, you know, Boston or Milwaukee in the second round, go for the 1 seed if you can. But obviously getting home court against one of those teams, I just think is massive. In the NBA, home court is really, really big, you know, compared to baseball or hockey or something. But them having home court against one of those teams could increase their chances of winning that series by like 25%, I think. And they've both Harden and Embiid they look physically fine. You know, Embiid will end up having played 65 games or something like that. Harden had a long break and has not had to strain the way that he has in previous years. They do not punt on either of those. Go get the 2 seed or go get the 1 seed. Don't end up in the 3 and not being able to have home court against either of those teams. I think.
I would really like to not play the Celtics in the second round. That's the only team I don't know that I'm scared of them particularly. I'm scared of us. I'm scared of us against the Celtics. It's just there's, you know, Scalabrine was on with Zach Lowe, and he said, I didn't disagree with anything he said. Like, he's not scared of the Sixers, and he shouldn't be because they've beaten us 1,000 times. And it's a tough matchup of a switchable wing everything. Mm-hmm. Like as the Maxi's defensive improvement is nice. It's good to see. I love it, but there's too many guys that they can go after, and not enough guys that we can cover. It's not a matchup I love. But also, I'm not scared of Robert Williams at all. I think Embiid will just put him in the dirt. Horford deserves revenge against him. I'd rather face Milwaukee. I think it's an interesting series, and I just don't want to see Boston in the second round again. Just come on.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. Briggs Auction is the official auction of the process. This is how you spell it. BRIGGS. Briggs Auction. 4-generation family-owned and operated auction house there in Delco. Everything's online. Online auctions are fucking fun, and Briggs is really fun. Every week, basically, a new auction up there. You can download the Briggs Auction app in the App Store or Google Play, or you just go to briggsauction.com. CJ, at this point, half of his wardrobe must be from Briggs Auction after his enormous jacket win. Now, the auction that's up this week, the March 24th Fine Estates auction, does not have any clothes in it. Now, there's always a ton of different categories. So there's collectibles, there's sports, there's electronics, there's, all that kind of stuff. This one is heavy on the art, the decorative arts, and the books and paper. There's this one lot I was looking at, old Philly newspapers, has a Philly newspaper from 1789, one from 1823, the National Gazette Literary Register, an 1861 issue of the Inquirer with Civil War news, which is fucking cool. I love cool stuff, whether it's cool stuff that you just have around that you can look at, whether it's furniture that you're not going to get anywhere else, whether it is clothes so you can look cool like CJ, whether it is sports collectibles, whatever it is, Briggs Auction is where you want to go. Just download the app, go to the website, scroll through it every week. To pick it up, to get your item, you can they have open pickup on Saturdays, they have by appointment during the week, or they'll work with you on a shipper. Or if you want to get rid of stuff, right? Not junk, but cool stuff. You want to do an estate auction, you want to downsize, send an email to info@briggsauction.com. That is info@briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the Ricky. There are a lot of cases. You mentioned not wanting to play the Celtics. There are a lot of cases in NBA history where the player has to overcome the nemesis to get to the thing.
Yeah.
Now, you could argue that both, whether they play the Celtics or the Bucks or both, I don't think Giannis is a nemesis, but beating Giannis would be notable on your way to a championship. And Embiid versus Giannis. However, in the Jordan Bulls versus Pistons way, Embiid dunking on fucking Al Horford as the Sixers closed the Celtics out in Game 6.
Yeah.
would be very sweet.
No, I'm seeing it and I'm liking it, but I'm also scared of it.
Maybe he would slap the hardwood after. We get everything.
No, he definitely wouldn't. No Sixer is ever.
He'd be on the floor. He'd be on the ground. It would be easy for him to do.
Yeah, it'd be funny if like Harden was the one to finally do it. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to start looking at matchups right now, but there's 12 games left of the regular season. They're 48-22. They've won 8 in a row. They have the second best record in the league. Like, it's a crazy time. And let's just move on because we're talking a lot of Embiid.
Yeah.
Two nice Tobias games in a row.
Dan was shooting quickly. Him shooting quickly.
Him back to doing what he said he was going to do. Back-to-back games of shooting 3 of 5 from 3 and then 4 of 6 from 3, making quick decisions, competing on the defensive end. Dunk update. He is up to 44 on the season, which is more than he had last year and more than he had the year before. But it's still not close to his career high, which is 55. So while he is shooting a higher percentage of his field goal attempts are dunks, he has stopped dunking at the rate he was dunking before. So there's 12 games left in the season. For Tobias get his career high in dunks, he needs to get 1 dunk per game.
That's impossible. There's no way.
Tobias, we need 12 dunks.
Yeah, I thought Kyle Neubeck wrote a correct thing about Tobias, is that this is an unfortunate reality, and you're going to have to cross your fingers, because sometimes we're going to get Tobias like Tobias just is not quick trigger player. He's not like
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not, by his nature, his insides, he is not like 3-and-D quick trigger. Like, this is not who he is.
Yeah.
So every time he's acting like that, he is consciously deciding to do that. And because it's not natural, he's not always great at it. So sometimes you're going to get Tobias like this, and sometimes you're going to get the other Tobias. And really what you're just hoping, and this is, he's a role player at this point. Like, that's what he is. Specifically on this team, he's a role player. For Tobias Harris to be successful, you need him to be a role player, not a primary scorer or anything. You're just going to have to cross your fingers that you're getting the right Tobias at the right time.
Yeah. And
in the times that you're not, there was an email about this. I wonder if we just bring it up. Now, actually, let me find the email, because it was I think it's a fair thing to talk about Tobias.
The thing that he was doing the last 2 nights is like not just shooting threes. There were games this season when he was all of his shot attempts were threes. He was still like being decisive, getting to the mid range and going up quickly. Like, as long as he's doing that, as long as he can still bully guys underneath, that's fine. But like, it just has to be like quicker, because if he's slowing down and looks indecisive, then that's where you get in trouble.
There's an email from Scott in Utah that said, I've always said the Sixers will never contend while giving Tobias Harris starters minutes. He just isn't a good enough player to be playing 30 minutes per game on a contender. I don't think he's good enough to even start on a contender. In the past, I've shared the analytical data. We can all see the traditional stats. We all watch games where Harris habitually fails the eye test. The Sixers are now 16-2 in games where Tobias Harris misses or plays less than 30 minutes. In those 2 losses, Harden didn't play. The first loss was that awful Wolves game where the Sixers came back in the 4th and lost by 3. They would have won if Harden played. The other loss was when the Cavs ran him off the floor. The Sixers have now won 13 consecutive games when Tobias Harris misses the game or plays less than 30 minutes. They are 8-7 in games where Tobias Harris plays 36 minutes or more. He eventually gets to it that he wonders if Doc Rivers now has like the gumption, especially with Jalen McDaniels, especially if gets physically right. If like you're not getting the right Tobias, like maybe it's just less Tobias, and they're never not going to start him as long as he's making this much money. But like, there's a world in the playoffs where Tobias is getting 27 minutes, I think, and 26 minutes, and doesn't have to be we've seen him not finishing. Not that he's not going to start, but I do think that there might be a correlation between Harris playing less and the Sixers maybe being better. Not because he's bad, but because other things fit a little bit better.
Well, the minutes thing's a little bit, sometimes he's playing 27 minutes because he doesn't come back in the 4th quarter because the Sixers are up 1,000 in those kinds of games. Those are some of those games. We talked about it with Dan of like Doc being willing to adjust and going with the hot hand in the fourth quarter and going like, well, Niang's playing really well, so I'm going to go with him. Like Tobias not being in the part of the like, hard, well, even Maxey sits sometimes when he's not playing well and they need defense. So it's like Tobias not being a part of, and really no one should be a part of the like Embiid and Harden are playing ends of games that matter no matter what. So like if Maxey's not playing well, like he's got to sit. If Tobias isn't playing well, he's got to sit. The last two games, I just would I bank on Tobias being like excellent in the playoffs? Like of course not. But I think he is capable. He is, for most of the season, he was doing what we asked him to do. And I think over the last couple games, he has recentered himself about what his job is. And I think there's nothing to do aside from like play him, cross your fingers, like you said. And if he's not playing well, then you pull him for somebody that's hot. It's just not that. It's nothing more than that, really. Yep. I will say, just like, man, Tobias in transition by himself, great. Gets downhill, gets to the rim, uses his like broad body, like all that stuff. Good. Tobias, when anyone else,
yeah, there was a moment last night, man, in
transition with him, whether it's him dribbling and there's somebody else there that he's going to throw a lob to, or he's the recipient of a potential lob. Like the past 3 games, the Sixers their offense has looked so good, and they've made some of the dumbest transition passes, the most like I've never seen you before. We have no rhythm whatsoever passes that I've ever seen in my life. And Tobias always feels like he's a part of that. Melton is also sometimes a part of that. Maxey has a tough time when he's in transition throwing lobs to, or just like, buddy, just go up with it yourself. Like it's very odd to see them like humming on offense, but not make like the one of the easier plays in basketball, which is just like throw a lob to the guy dunking.
Maxey and Melton also. Maxey, has been not on a tear, but on a just below tear since he started putting it all back together, and they moved him back to the starting lineup. And Melton had a great game against the Pacers as well. 6 steals, I think, in 3 quarters.
Yeah, so, for Melton, this was like a highlight reel game, like for Daryl and Elton, like this is why we got him. Like that game should be playing like on a screen while they're like holding their arms in the air. Like this is why we brought him here. He's running the floor. He's stepping into threes. He was creating havoc on defense. Elite guard rebounding, flexibility and roll, can slide like on or off ball pretty good. The 2 minutes that Jaden Springer and D'Anthony Melton shared the court together was pretty breathtaking for me. I loved it. I had a blast. Maxey, I do this every podcast. Like it is incomprehensible how good he's gotten as a shooter. I don't think it's become like commonplace to expect him to hit these shots. It's insane. Spike, he hit 33 threes in college. 33 threes in 31 college basketball games. He has more than that in March. Made threes. He has hitting from any angle, step backs, deep step backs, like money from the corner. He's just awesome. And then that plus obviously the reason he was drafted, he wasn't drafted for the shot, and he's just become like an elite shooter. But he can get to the rim so quickly. He's so fast with the ball. There was one play last night where he's scooping. When he drives through people, when he knifes through the defense, he like the distance the ball travels, like as he's like moving it around to try to get it around guys before he goes up for a scoop underneath it. It's unbelievable. He's just crazy good. My favorite play of the game, Maxey pick and roll.
Lob to BBall.
Lob to BBall Paul.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a great play for Maxey because he doesn't throw that many lobs. And it's a great play for BBall because he doesn't catch that many lobs. So it's like this being the nice, like, okay, we're like this becoming a thing. Harden's not going to pass him that much. Maxey's not, Embiid doesn't catch lobs really. So like this becoming a little bit of a thing, second unit, I would really love that.
Nice little b-ball game after I would say a subpar b-ball game against Cleveland was a subpar b-ball game, or against Charlotte was a subpar b-ball game. The Indiana game was a good b-ball game, I thought. Good b-ball, Paul. And
I mean, against Charlotte, people had 8 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks.
Okay, then I'm thinking Cleveland. Yeah. What's it called? And I would love in some playoff game to see the fucking Deadman hook. I just want to see the Deadman. He is not shy about fucking getting the ball on the block and going to work.
For sure. He's better than I haven't been, he's only played 2 or 3 games, but I haven't been annoyed by him at all.
No.
He's definitely better than Prezz, by a lot.
Yeah.
So
He's about as slow. He's about as slow.
He might be as slow. That's not. He's at least not trying to. He at least never had great elevation. He's tall. Prezz is 6'6".
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Really good. I thought it was a really nice bench game last night. Obviously, without Harden and PJ, they needed guys to step up. Daniel House did some crazy shit. He's a fucking wild man. He had the dunk of the year that was called back because of the charge.
God.
That ref
I couldn't believe it happened.
I know. After the beginning of the game where he just did some just crazy shit, just generally.
Yep.
Funny Den House game. Happy that he gets to start sometimes. Whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a great Niang game. Him just making the right reads, making plays off the dribble. He had a nice drive and scoop pass to Dedmon for a nice finish. And it was we're back in a good, there was maybe 3 weeks where Shake was not contributing. And we're back in a really nice Shake rhythm of him having his moments where he can take over a little bit. His upper body strength on those mid ranges when he just gets the N1, he just gets the defense. He just bangs into somebody and just always. He used to get called for those charges back in the day, but now he has a nice little step back rhythm to it, and he can get shots up so easily. And I want you to notice, this is homework for the listeners. Notice how many open threes the Sixers get from Shake cutting on the weak side to draw the weak side defender into the lane. And then that person that Shake was on the wing with is now open because he brought the defender with him on the cut. I want you to notice how much he does that. It's a smart play. It's a heady play. And he doesn't get any credit for it. It's not in the box score, but it happens all the time. And they benefit from it. My second favorite play.
Yeah.
Shake lob to BBall. Great play. A great play. My third favorite play. Springer cuts middle to help Shake. Sees the lane open. Gets the ball at the nail. Drives, draw the defense. And leaves it to BBall for the dunk. All my favorite plays end in BBall dunks. It was great. What a good game.
Vegas Mike, I imagine on some level in your bag right now with the tournament. I am going to ask Vegas Mike to do a little odds guessing.
Okay.
As we occasionally do. Now, 2 weeks ago, I believe Joel Embiid was plus 650 to win the MVP at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Wow.
Our presenting sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, this morning, Joel Embiid's MVP odds.
I saw them yesterday, so I don't know. I haven't seen them.
It's different than yesterday.
Okay. Well, he's the favorite.
He is the favorite.
Minus 155.
He is minus 220.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The tides, they are a changing.
They are. And the Sixers championship odds, which haven't moved in a while, moved a little bit. Sixers go to plus 1,000. Oh, I'm sorry. I fucked up the game. I didn't even ask you. Sixers go to plus 1,000. The Bucks still the favorite at plus 330. The Celtics at plus 340. The Celtics were behind the Sixers in the standings are plus 340 at DraftKings Sportsbook. Speaking of the tournament, right now, new customers, if you use code RTRS, bet $5 on college hoops and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's it. Plus, for a limited time, all customers get a no sweat bet during round 1 and 2 of the tournament. Go to the app, opt in, place a no sweat bet this weekend. You got to be listening on Sunday. If it doesn't hit, you get a bonus bet back up to $10. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now so you can be like Vegas Mike and sign up with code RTRS. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, win or lose. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code RTRS. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Can we talk a little MVP?
Yeah, last thing I just wanted to.
Yep.
It's good that Jalen McDaniels is back. It seemed like he might have missed more time.
Yeah, it seems like he might need to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, Yeah, I wouldn't mind giving him another day here and there. But it's good just having his length and athleticism is so helpful in this team. Like it was a really nice. It was a nice pickup having a guy that can create some havoc defensively and also just like get when the ball like comes to him, it's like, oh, he's not confused and he's not helpless. It's been, we'll see in 5 years who's the better player, but on this team especially, like it's really nice that Jalen McDaniels can do something with the ball.
As we get to Embiid MVP, I would like to credit two specific people, aside from Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, for shifting the odds. One is Perk for setting it up, and the next one is Mike O'Connor for knocking it down. If you go back into history, the odds started changing when Mike O'Connor wrote that article about the discourse of MVP. And I would like to congratulate Mike O'Connor for changing the discourse. This is a long voicemail, but it is a really good one. And I would like to start the MVP discussion to this. You can leave us a voicemail at 833-LickFace. Let's hope this works.
Hey guys, this is Patrick in Los Angeles. First of all, thank you guys so much for maintaining this community over the years. I've been listening since a few months before Hinkie resigned, and I've moved all around the country, and it's just been really great to have you guys sort of like keeping me grounded in this like ridiculous fandom that we're in. So thank you guys for that, and also fuck you for that. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the MVP race with Joel. I love you guys, but I think you're being a little tepid in your enthusiasm. I understand why, like the Sixers have beaten us down so hard over the last whatever years that it's really hard to feel any sort of excitement or enthusiasm about anything ever. But we have to remind ourselves of like a few things. Joel, first 2 years of his career injured, his brother dies during that time period. We have to deal with all these fucking jokes about how Joel Embiid is the next Greg Oden and he's never going to play and we're ridiculous for hinging all of our hopes on him. And then he plays and he's actually good. And then he gets really good. And then he gets like really, really fucking good. And now he's the best player on the planet. And the biggest cabal of fucking losers is going to be the reason that we look back on this era of Sixers basketball and see that Joel never won an MVP. I normally don't care about individual awards and all that stuff. I generally think it's loser shit. But these fucking losers are going to be the reason why Joel doesn't get to be an MVP. It's ridiculous. My humble request to you guys is that you simply ban all of them. Ban every writer who is pushing this ridiculous pro-Jokic narrative, trying to get him 3 straight MVPs, something Jordan and LeBron never even had happen. Ban them all. It should be like retweet Armageddon, but it's fucking ban Armageddon. Every name on the back of that shirt. Okay, obviously the voicemail timeline cut me off. I'm getting a little too animated about this. Anyway, ban them all. Ban every single one of those people from the back of that shirt that said get a second chance at MVP or whatever. Ban them all. Zach Lowe should have been banned right away. Ban them. And if any of you are listening, fuck you. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you guys. You're the best.
That was 2 calls.
What a sweet guy that just got really fired up.
Yeah.
No, I mean I think I pretty much said a lot of that word for word at the beginning of this podcast.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. The fact that yeah, the Greg Oden point is a good one because not only was he not playing, but we were like, people were sort of using that as a way to like diminish like what the Sixers' goals were, and they were like, well, they hope he never plays so he can get more picks. And there were just so many fucking idiots, Rick Bucher, whatever the fuck. Yeah, I mean he's incredible. He's incredible. He's the best player in the league right now. And the fact that he's like at healthy and doing everything this well, and he just turned 29,
and he's better. He's been better.
He's gotten better, yeah.
But he's better than the other player. Like he deserves MVP this year.
Yeah,
he deserves MVP. That's it. Yeah, he deserves.
I just the reason why I've been is because people were like, dude, stop doing like the fairness thing that I've been doing. Because
I think they missed the context on that a little bit. To be honest with you.
How so? What do you think?
Well, because you're not saying he should get MVP to even things up in a unfair way. What you're saying is because it has been even, the as far as their rankings, the MVP should be even. And it does not properly describe the way that people are describing it if these 3 years, Jokic got the MVP all 3 years based on the way that it was described. Not like, well, we lost, but we should get a title just because we lost anyway, right? Am I?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's
correctly?
You have to establish that. Like, I just, the thing that I'm trying to avoid is Jokic people going like, well, here's the ways that he's been better, and actually he impacts the game in these ways differently. Whatever. It's just like, look, I don't want to get into that with you. Like, the 3 of these guys are playing like and have been performing the past 3 years like the 3 best players in the league have been when they're considering other guys' health and everything. And they've been doing great. And they're both awesome. They're all awesome in very distinct, unique, wildly cool ways. We're very lucky to have them. One of them has 2 MVPs. The other one has 2 MVPs. Giannis has 2, doesn't he?
Yes.
And one of them has none. So it's been 3 years of that. So like, give the one to the other guy that's awesome for all these ways. And but on its own, even if it was 0-0-0, Embiid right now, like the load he carries offensively, the load he carries defensively, how he's had to do it for so long with the limited help he's had and on this, like, the story that you tell around Embiid is incredible. And he just he's the man, and he keeps getting better. Like, we are at a place where like statistically, physically, like he's on list. I mean, with the Sixers, he's on list with like Wilt and Iverson. Like every single thing is like Wilt, Moses, Iverson. And then like league wide, it's like Wilt, Kareem, Moses, Shaq, Embiid. It's like the list of the stuff that he's doing, that he's on, is like all-time list. That he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's Joel Embiid, the guy that didn't play for the first 2 years. That was like our guy that we got, that nobody else believed in. We got him during the process, and they immediately got good when he was there, and he just has kept getting better, and he's suffered through shit. And I really, really fucking hope that this is the year that he breaks through for us and for him, because like, what a fucking journey it's been. He's the man. Let's just, I want them to win. I want them to win a championship. I would like them to win a championship, Spike. And I'm tired of them not having won one. And I think every conversation would be better with the Sixers having won one. So that's my take.
We've mentioned, we have not yet quite gotten to the Ringer top 100, but an MVP related voicemail we got from a returning voicemailer that maybe he'll be a regular. 833 Lickface.
Hey, Spike and Mike. This is Omar calling. I know I fucking called the other day and I trolled my Spike. Fucking just take that off. I don't fucking care about that anymore. Spike, you don't have smokers on, whatever. The fucking Ringer 100. What is going on? Can we get Spike? You have to ban Michael Pena from the pod. Michael Pena must be banned. This is a level of caping that I cannot even fathom. It's an amount of implicit bias, and I can't even process the reasoning behind any of it. How? Oh my God! This is wow! Ban Michael Pena, for the love of God.
So I only know Michael Pena's name from. I don't know him. Do you know him? I only know him from that I see his name on the Ringer. Like, do you know him?
Same.
So in the Ringer Top 100, Michael Pena wrote this.
When was this published?
Like,
how long have we not been talking about the Ringer Top 100?
Well, but it gets updated every few weeks.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah. So this was written like a week ago. Jokic is a once-in-a-lifetime basketball phenomenon, as they ranked him number 1. As a back-to-back MVP who would probably win the award a couple more times if it were decided by voter fatigue-proof robots instead of narrative-seeking human beings, he's straight up, without equivocation, the best player on the planet. A hyper-efficient scorer who makes everyone around him at least 15% better, Jokic is Denver's compass. He humbles opposing big men with ox-like strength, then dismantles help defenders as they offer support with passes and transcend anticipation. With his back to the basket and his neck bent just enough to see the entire court, he detects what others can't until the following morning's film session. The sport has never seen anyone like Jokic. He's an unconventional combination of grace, mystique, and persistent motion. The only box left to check will come in the playoffs when his underrated and misunderstood defense will be tested by teams that wrap half their game plan around trying to exhaust and expose him in space. But so long as his teammates are healthy, that strategy is likely to be a shallow one. His underrated and misunderstood defense, as he humbles big men with ox-like strength and is without equivocation the best player on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, it does a little bit sound like a romance novel, but I think that like the offensive stuff, he's right about that. Like Jokic is crazy. He's crazy good. Like I don't like the bummer here is like having to. I don't love my strength is not hating in this kind of way.
Right. Mine is.
I like Jokic. I think he's awesome. But like, man, just he's not a good defender. He's not a good defensive player. Yeah. There are things he does on the defensive end that make up for his athletic and effort where he's lacking in those areas. But he's not a good defender. He's not a good defensive player. You are not a better defensive team with him on the court. He might have good defensive numbers compared to like the backups that they've had here in Denver, but whatever. Like he's clearly not. He is going to be a liability. He's always been a liability on the defensive end in the playoffs, and he is like in the regular season. He's just fine. And the reason why he defends so many shots at the rim is because people are going at him all the time. Embiid's presence dissuades guys from going at the rim all the time. There's so many possessions where people will dribble towards the rim and then see Embiid there and then sort of just dribble it back out or kick it to whoever, or they don't get a shot up. It's a shot clock violation. Like these catch-all defensive stats, as Michael Conner pointed out, are not good in any way. And you watch the games, it's so clear, especially now that Embiid, for the most part of the regular season, this season, Embiid was not that good defensively. He was fine. He was below average for him. And then over the last month, he has turned it on, and you can see like how good he is defensively, and in the playoffs you can always see. So it's not close on one end, and even though yes, the stuff Jokic does is incredible in the other, like Embiid is minimally worse than him in offense while being the leading scorer in the league, and carrying more of a load. Like if Jokic had to shoot 26 times per game, like those efficiency numbers would go down.
Like I just stop being such a fucking dork about it. Like that's my problem with all of them. You cannot say he is the best player without equivocation if he's a center that is not good at defense.
Yeah.
You can say that he's great and he is up for debate as the best player in the league, but you cannot say without equivocation he's the best if he's a center and he's not good at defense. His defense is not misunderstood. And it's not underrated because fuckers like you keep saying how good it is and you're overrating it, which evens out everyone who underrates it.
Yeah.
It's just fucking so dumb. Last voicemail on these. I know this is more me than you. I'm sorry. This is me service. It's just like the Nuggets are fucking losing and the Celtics are losing, and it's just an opportunity to be the best version of me as an awful person. So the final voicemail. 833 Lickface. I'm sorry.
Hey, Spike. This is Nate with the rant. I called in a few months ago our EJJ Redick because I knew we were both on the same page. We don't like him and we see through him. We were haters when everyone else was infatuated with him. Recently, he waded into the MVP debate, and I think it's illustrative of our reasons for disliking him. 2 weeks ago, JJ put out a video propping Jokic up using Raptor, all but telling us the MVP race is done and that we're stupid if we don't agree. Then in this week's video, he says the MVP race is wide open and that, of course, the race was never decided. But what's worse than his typical flip-flopping is that in his rambling, he never says who his MVP frontrunner is. He never commits to anything. That's the reason he sucks. The man is hot take avoidant. He's a milquetoast charlatan, just as he was a milquetoast NBA player. And even though he may bore you to death, at least he'll tell you you're fucking stupid while he's doing it. It is too bad that he will be on TV for the next 25 years.
I agree. Thank you. JJ Redick is just if you took Twitter and made it into a human and put it on TV. That's what he is. I'm glad. I'm glad that he got in that interview, that argument with Perk, and that all the wrong people started agreeing with JJ Redick, and it made him uncomfortable. Like, I'm glad. Fuck you. Fuck JJ Redick. Fuck Nikola Jokic. Fuck Giannis. Fuck all of their fans. Fuck Zach. Fuck Michael Pena. Fuck Adam from DNVR. Fuck Ben Thompson. Fuck everybody. Embiid is the MVP this year. He deserves it. You're all fucking wrong, and now you look stupid. And everybody who's done the Jokic thing all year is faced with this awful conundrum, is that your votes are now public. And now here's the problem for you, is that you have spent so long saying that it is obviously Jokic, that if you don't vote for Jokic, you will have to admit that you are wrong. But if you do vote for Jokic, you will be wrong. It's a horrible conundrum to be in. I've been in that conundrum before, and we're all going to know who you voted for. So, like, everyone, Brian Russillo, JJ Redick, Zach, everyone who had, I love you, Zach, I love you, but we're going to know who you voted for. We're going to know. We're going to know. At the end of the day, we're going to know. And there's going to be another fucking shirt, as long as we don't lose to one of those teams. There's going to be another fucking shirt with your fucking name on it. So you better vote for the right person.
Dan was talking last part because Dan had a vote last year, and he's not sure if he's going to get a vote this year or not. But
he better vote for the right person.
Well, yeah, that's what we talked to him about it.
Yeah. The KOC better vote for the right person.
He was like, "You have." For the right I voted for Giannis last year, so I wouldn't be voting for Jokic 3 times in a row.
No.
Which I disagree with, and I forgot to make this point. But like, if you put like an article, like a paragraph in an article that gets cut and it doesn't make it to print, then you can like put that in a different article and not think you're repeating something. Mm-hmm. Like, it's whatever makes it to print, which is like the MVP voting, whoever is MVP, that's what like collectively was decided. So you don't get to say like, oh, I didn't vote for him 3 years in a row. Like, you did. So Dan, consider that.
Yeah. Before we get to the musical guest announcement and the winner of the fan vote for Live Ricky 5 going into the Process Hall of Fame, Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. You did a Big Barker read during your hosting pod earlier this week.
Dan got to woof.
How'd it go? Yeah,
great. He's very happy to do it.
Well, but your read, how was that part?
Yeah. I mean, it's a different
style
muscle for me. Yeah. I just sort of hit the words hard.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of, I find myself in the middle and I'm sweating, and I'm just trying my best, but not not that kind of hating is not my strength, and this kind of selling things is not my strength.
I love Big Barker. I'm so proud that they're a sponsor because I love dogs, and I think that dogs should be treated to the best life possible when they are adopted. And your dog, if is not sleeping on a Big Barker, is I'm sure you're giving it a great life, is not getting the best life possible. It's not like luxurious specifically, even though it looks very nice. It keeps your dog healthier and more comfortable, and keeps the joints healthier and improves your dog's quality of life. It's that simple. BigBarker.com/Ricky. BigBarker.com/Ricky is where you go to get the Big Barker dog bed along with the Process Pup patches, which you get for free if you go to BigBarker.com/Ricky. My wife works at an animal shelter here in Jersey called St. Hubert's, and we went over there yesterday to play with a dog, bigger pit bull, and a very big, strong dog. And I was thinking to myself, Rebel's not that heavy. Rebel's 40 pounds. But this dog, man, if this dog wasn't sleeping on a mattress like a Big Barker, like one of those dog beds you see at the pet store or that you order off Instagram or whatever, that's just fluffy, this dog would sink right to the ground, but would not with a Big Barker because it has been engineered in a way to support your dog's joints. A real mattress, a real bed, not just a pillow with edges around it so it looks like a bed, which is what most dog beds are. BigBarker.com/Ricky is where you go to get it. A 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, they'll give you a full refund and pay for shipping. It is handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. Mike, we had a vote to determine who would be inducted into the Process Hall of Fame, or what would be inducted into the Process Hall of Fame on April 9th, Easter evening at Underground Arts. It is sold out, but there will be a special video presentation thanks to Mortgage CS later that week. Now, you are inducting Mike Muscala for hitting the 3 that gave us Tyrese Maxey.
That's right.
AU is inducting the Ben Simmons practice photo. And then we let the listener, you who is listening, determine who would be inducted into the Process Hall of Fame as the Ricky moment. The nominations were the Paul Millsap All-Star Story, booing Tony Snell, Daryl Morey on the pod from the bubble as Rockets president, Tony T's hit Me and Kyrie, Covington's reception at the lottery party, the Better Than Ben Simmons list, and the Jeopardy contestant banned for not saying the name twice. Would like to offer congratulations to Daryl Morey on the pod from the bubble as Rockets president.
Wow.
Will go. So
I feel like he should induct that himself.
He is welcome. Now, I want to be clear to Daryl, you are not being inducted into the Process Hall of Fame, right? That's clear, right? The moment is being inducted. Daryl, if you'd like to induct yourself, you are invited. It is sold out.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get him a ticket, but we'll work on that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, by the way, we're sort of inducting ourselves as we were on that podcast.
That's right.
So
extremely, very humble of us to do.
Yeah. So the other thing, we of course have Eliza Hardy-Jones and Charlie Hall of War on Drugs performing Imagine the Process, and Mutlu will be our house band for the evening. But we will have another musical guest. CJ, I'm wondering if you could bring up that video in that tweet just in case. We've had this person on the pod before. Wrote a song that maybe not quite as prescient as it was a couple of months ago. One Prezz Carter will be performing his hit, Coaches Become Sales Reps, the Doc Rivers diss, at Live Ricky 5.
You had him beating Harden and you ain't win at all. I swear to God, this dude's a fraud. Anybody want to coach, the Sixers taking calls. A real coach wouldn't have Harden baiting for calls. Just another year that you underachieved. It's time to pack your bags, the whole city wants you to leave. Morey make the call, I want all his duties relieved. Said you old players, coach, I don't know what to believe. Top 15
Only the
all
Ricky
time, yeah, that list was capped.
would,
You don't make adjustments, you don't know.
at a live podcast right before the playoffs, as the Sixers are surging into the second and possibly first seed, have a rapper on to sing about how the coach sucks.
Yeah. Look, I'm happy Prezz is coming.
Yes.
So it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun for him. It'll be fun for the listeners. It is Doc has been pretty good lately. It's not to say that in the playoffs we don't get an all bench lineup against, while Tatum and Brown are on the floor. Which would be tough. But for now, Doc he's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's sort of tough, but this is actually very funny. So Prezz Carter was great. He was great when he was on the pod, and I'm excited to have him up there. Sixers related news. I don't really know what there is to say about it, except that there is a funny resolution to it, in that, as reported by Ramona Shelburne, Brooklyn Nets forward Ben Simmons and Klutch Sports have mutually decided to part ways, sources told ESPN. Simmons had been represented by Klutch since he came into the NBA as the number 1 pick in 2016. The agency negotiated his 5-year, $177 million extension in 2019. Simmons and Klutch decided to part ways in a conversation this week. Quote, he just needed a fresh start, according to a source. And then later reported by, I don't know how to report how to pronounce John's last name. He is the beat reporter for The Athletic for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he seems to be a good guy. John Krasinski, I think. Ben Simmons is expected to hire veteran agent Bernie Lee, who has a long history of guiding clients through difficult spots. Sources said Lee also reps Jimmy Butler, Justin Holiday, and Chris Dunn, among other players. Bernie Lee was also Joel Embiid's advisor as Embiid negotiated his own extension. And finally, a quote from 2018, courtesy of Jeff Zilgett, when Brian Colangelo was going through his situation here with the Sixers. The quote from Bernie Lee: I'm biased since I live in Toronto, and I have come to know Brian and his family well, and they have my complete and total support. I have absolutely zero concerns, nor could I imagine anyone else having any. Brian has a track record of honesty and integrity that I'm going to choose to define him by and always will. What is happening right now isn't right as a league and as a business. If we're going to be okay with seeking people out to ruin them based on agendas and simple human weaknesses, then we are headed down a slippery slope. So in short,
that quote, I remember it then, and I saw it the other day, and it just, I guess it's not related to what we're talking about, but anytime the Colangelo thing gets brought up, it's really, what is that? Who needs? Why would you be? Why would anyone be like, you have a problem? This agent has a problem with him. This agent that has known him forever is going to turn on him. Like, oh, we didn't. Oh, okay, great. Well, then we're still in. We're going to stick with him. Like, what a wild thing to say. And it's just, people love to just blame agendas. Agendas.
Yeah, that one was not about an agenda, though we did have an agenda.
After it was reported.
Many people, yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, wild stuff. And yeah, very funny that him and Jimmy now have the same agent. Would be funny if Jimmy like fired his agent like today.
And Embiid, like
Embiid
the guy he got is Butler's agent, helped Embiid with his contract, and supported Brian Colangelo. It's like the only agent Ben Simmons could have gotten after Klutch was Bernie Lee. He was the only person I think that had enough connections to his past to do that.
It's wild. It's wild for me. It's wild that like now Klutch is gone. Like they stuck with him for such a long time for about so many things, and it's not all their fault, but like they certainly didn't help guide this to a smart, helpful place. And obviously whatever's going on with Ben is like upsetting for him, and then also very convoluted. And you know, Klutch did a bad job, and now they're like, all right, we're probably good.
Do you think, I know you don't like talking about, you're not interested in talking about Ben, just curious question, because I think I know my answer, but after this contract is over, which has, I think, 3 more years left in it, do you think Ben Simmons will sign another NBA contract?
I have no idea, man. I really have no clue.
It's on the table that he will not, that he'll just go back to Australia and play there.
Yeah, I mean, he just keeps, he plays. There was like one point this season where he like started looking good for a second, started looking like the old version of himself, and that just like dissipated real quick. I don't know. It's a little bit like, you know, when we talk about Ben, we talk about Markelle, who has gotten pretty good under like the circumstances, Markelle, and even like Zaire, like guys that have had like debilitating things happen to them. It's hard to argue like, oh, they were never that good, or oh, they didn't do this. Like it was just like this like traumatic or at least impactful thing went down that, you know, you have to be so good to be an NBA player if you're not operating like at all facilities. Like it's hard to be a positive impact on the game. And so I think for all 3 of those guys, all of whom, if you might remember, were Sixers, it's hard to have like a rational conversation about like what they are, what they were, what they could have been.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like there will be, you know, there've been a couple of Sixers books so far, process books, but the one that gets written when everything is said and done could be 2,000 pages long and interesting, with the amount of crazy stories and interesting stories that are, by the way, unduplicated. The Colangelo story is unduplicated. Yeah. The Simmons story is unduplicated. The Embiid story is unduplicated. The Fultz story is unduplicated. The only one who duplicates it is the fucking Sixers.
Yeah, they keep doing it. So Jerry, I've been watching 40 college basketball games. Jerry Colangelo is like an investor or fucking bullshit in Grand Canyon University.
He's still alive.
Still at those games, and it was really fun. It was very enjoyable to watch him watch the Grand Canyon Antelopes lose. I hope for nothing but the worst for fucking hit that team and that guy. Get out of here.
Before we leave, we will end on instead of emails.
And Doug Collins' kid, also in the audience, watching
really?
Northwestern lose to UCLA.
There you go.
They won a game, which was annoying, but yeah, get out of here. Get out.
We will leave on a jigsaw, and then we will send you off into NCAA land.
Play.
I will play this game.
Game we play.
I will play this game.
I miss you.
I will play this game.
I'm worried. Play.
I will play this game.
And after the game, they were interviewing him, and they said, how does it feel to win the ultimate game? And he said, if it's the ultimate game, why are they playing it again next year?
Shout out Doug Collins. You know what I was reading the other day? Do you remember? Of course you do. The Doug Collins press conference after the Orlando game, the ran through his shoes, I never got booed press conference.
Of course, yeah.
The quotes are so good. They're so wonderful. I love them. Anyway, this came from James.
That guy sucks.
Yes, he does. He does suck. This came from James. James sent in a jigsaw. Mike, you have these two options for the rest of your life. Option number 1. Your significant other spits directly into your mouth before every meal you share together. We're talking a fairly substantial volume of fluid, even when you're out in public.
That's fine. I'm already saying I'm fine with that. She could do it right now. She could walk in and do it to me on camera, and it wouldn't for no reason whatsoever. I'd be fine with it.
Okay. Well, then the other option is once a year a stranger pees into your meal.
That's worse. Of course.
Wait a minute. Not a huge amount, just the last drops and shakes. You don't know when it's happening or when your annual meal is complete until you taste it yourself. It's a different stranger each year.
I would take once a year?
Yeah, once a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's less hassle for sure.
And less
having to like go
scrutiny.
Be like, Alyssa, come. Hey, I'm having a meal out. Can you just come spit in my mouth really quick before I do it? Like, that just seems like difficult.
A business meal,
logistically.
Yeah. You gotta take the stranger piss.
I might take the stranger piss just to like not have to deal with having to like, get the spit every time.
Right.
So give me because it's like it's a little if it's drops and shakes once a year.
Yeah.
Man, that's seasoning. But I'll take both. Either way, this is the rare jigsaw. I'll take both. It's fine.
Wow.
Fine.
An all-timer. Mike wants both.
Give it to me.
He wants both. All right. We will talk to you. All right. Sixer schedule, which I never have.
It's bad, man. It's bad.
Okay, hold on. I'm bringing it up.
We got a home and home with the Bulls, and then every other game is upsetting.
At
we got
the Warriors.
12 games left. At the
Jesus
Warriors,
Christ.
which they're incredible at home and wildly bad on the road.
At the
Phoenix.
Sun.
At Denver at the end of a 4-game road trip for basically for the MVP. For all intents and purposes, that's Monday, March 27th. And then home against the Mavs, home against the Raptors, at Milwaukee, home against Boston, home against Miami, and then at Atlanta, at Brooklyn, live Ricky 5.
Jesus.
So,
Gauntlet.
It's a gauntlet. And even the Bulls, like it's hard to win home and home, both ends of it.
So lose one of the Bulls games and then beat the Suns or something.
Yeah. I just need I need 12 Tobias dunks is really I care more about that than the standings. Give me those 12 dunks, Toby. Are you back? Are you feeling it?
It's interesting. A little bit.
Okay.
I'm not. Remember, back for me is also interesting too, because I always think they're going to lose.
Yeah.
So it's genuinely, I believe they're going to lose. It's not like some self-hating Philadelphia in some self-hating, oh, woe is me way. I genuinely think they're going to lose.
Yeah.
But for the first time, it was during the Pacers game, oddly without PJ, who, by the way, we never talked about it. The bounce pass on the break from
that was
PJ
great.
Tucker
A great pass.
Awesome.
I loved it.
And they are 16-4 when he plays and doesn't score.
I don't think him hitting a 3 would be preventative from them
for
winning
sure.
games.
Just also not preventative that they win when he. So
I'm worried in the playoffs is what I'm.
Yeah.
I've seen the stat. I like the stat. It's
He
a
will
fun
shoot.
stat, but it's in the playoffs that is when I get concerned.
It's not. I'm in a place where I'm ready to consider the possibility that they could get to the finals. And that is a different place than I was in 2 weeks ago. I was not even considering the possibility. So I am not back, but I too am in a bit of a different place than I've ever been before.
Yeah. It's just because we've not seen them look like this. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
them like beat good teams and then like kind of like sleepwalk through other shit and end up losing games. But like they're just taking care of business everywhere. Embiid is playing the best basketball of his career. the Sixers still have by a lot the hardest schedule left remaining, especially after the 2 games that they just played against lesser teams. Yeah, Boston has the 9th toughest schedule. Milwaukee has the 17th toughest schedule. So it's really going to be the Sixers. So I was concerned about this run because of how they could have fallen in the standings, or they could have proven that they didn't deserve it. But like, since the All-Star break, they have been really visibly like giving a fuck. And that, combined with how efficient Joel and James are together, and Maxey hitting shots, everybody else doing their thing, like they're a really, really imposing offensive force. And they have maybe enough defenders to like stem the tide against most teams. I really would love a Sixers-Bucks series. I would love it.
We will talk to you Wednesday night after the second Bulls game, if Mike is still alive after all of these college basketball games. I wish you're getting older, man. I just
now I feel it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I know. I'm going to play basketball right now, so we'll see how 3 days of three full days at various bars around LA, how my body holds up playing some ball now.
We'll talk to you Wednesday night. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lickface.